Hey everybody, here's a video on how data nuggets work. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to put this on your screen and you're going to get some paper, your notebook, to write down the answers to the questions that you're going to see. What is a data nugget? A data nugget is a brief little story of an actual scientific research project that some scientists did with the data presented for you to then interpret and see what we get out of it. So, data nuggets start with some research background. This one, which you're going to do, is all about trout and the effects of floods on trout. See, it says floods are common disturbances in streams. And we're going to hear about two scientists, Ivan and Stan, who are interested in whether floods impact the survival of young cutthroat trout. It's a kind of trout. So this is all background. And right here at the end, specific information about what they were doing. And then here is a scientific question. So they're giving you the actual specific scientific question. Some wonderful pictures about are showing you the actual scientists at work. Here's the data. This is the actual data that they collected. Again, these are real research projects. This is not made up for you to do in school. This is a real research project that was adapted to do for you guys to use in school. So this is real data. It can be messy. And it shows you the way the data is put in here. And then it says, what data will you graph to answer the question? And so your first task is to identify the independent and dependent variables. And then in this case, I'm giving you the graphs. In some cases, I won't necessarily give you the graphs. But in this case, I give you the graphs. So they're already made for you, and you can see what you're left to do is try to interpret the graphs. And I'll tell you, when you see something with dots like this, which is called a scatter plot, what you're going to want to do is try to draw a line through them and see what that means. So when you draw a line, you're going to draw a line that kind of puts most of the points in on either side. So you should, if I did this correctly, I would have half of the points on top, half on the bottom. And so what you can do, what I find easily, is just to take a pen and kind of move the pen around on the screen until you feel like you have that correct. And really all you're after here is there a way to fit this that gives you a real line with an up or a down? Same thing would happen here, except that when I do this, I'm going to end up with basically a flat line, right? And that's the key difference, flat line versus a line that has a trend in it. And so that's a key part of the data interpretation that we're going to have, and now you're going to make a claim, right? You're going to use, after you've looked at it, you're going to make a claim that answers the question. So the question is, again, back up to here, the question, a little farther, what is the effect of major flooding events on adult and juvenile trout populations in this creek? And so your question, or your claim should be, there is an effect and it's this, or there is no effect. So that's how you make the claim, and then it's going to ask what evidence was used to write your claim. So you're going to refer back to something that you saw in those graphs, and then you're going to say why, what is your reasoning. Again, you're writing all of this down in your notebook as you go along. Then what new question do you think should be investigated? So this is where, think like a scientist, what is an interesting thing that we could ask next? And then how can you actually find variables that can answer the question? And so this is where you're taking their research and trying to move it into a new context, into something that you can do. So when you've gotten to this, what hypothesis are you testing in your experiment? Then you should be done with that data nugget. Then you're going to go back to the exit ticket. And the exit ticket for the day is questions, multiple choice questions based on these answers. So if you get these answers right when you're writing them down, you're simply just going to click on the correct one on the exit ticket. So do make sure that you know what you're doing before you get to that exit ticket, or ask me for help. And so that's a data nugget. I hope you enjoy it.